includes Progenitus,
Yes,
which
it
is a
does.
green.
Ooh,
Oh,
we've
we have.
got our feed coming through in our
So we
screen.
have Mark McGovern on the left against Lewis Marchbank on the right.
Theirs hasn't popped up yet. Oh, we've had a deck list popped up.
Oh,
Oh, that's through the breach.
thank you very much for that.
Oh no, that's.
That
So we've got Kiki Pod.
we have Kiki Pod.
Not overly surprised about that.
No, that is
It's a very common.
one of those
deck
decks
in
did
Modern,
win
isn't it?
very quickly.
Yes. And we've not heard what Marchbank's using yet.
It's just being updated. Our judge on the ground is typing all this in, so hopefully it won't take too long. If we can get a runner at any point during the day, we might be able to get deck lists as well.
It'd be nice, but
It would be nice. We will do our very best to interpret
what we
from
can
the deck
see.
titles what
Deck
we
titles
have.
and card pictures. That's what we're going
dealing
for.
with.
Deck titles and card pictures. What can possibly go wrong?
No,
eh?
I know. What could possibly go wrong?
Still not heard anything about Lewis's deck. This could be anything. Or he just doesn't have
I
a
want
deck
to think
name.
he's maybe on.
Serious
He's maybe.
deck.
He looks like the kind of guy who would run control.
You're based off the look of the man.
Based off his,
you are
the look of the
picking that
man,
he's a
his
control
demeanour.
deck.
Look at him. He is used to rounds going long.
He has that look about him, potentially of, yeah, I'm perfectly happy to sit here and wait for a win. He's playing some blue, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
Bug control.
This is the bit where it comes up and says Jund, and,
Yeah, and then he comes in going,
we
affinity.
face
You're
palm
like,
all
what?
at the same time.
What's that all about?
But they are just shuffling up.
So we at least know one deck. We've at least got
Yeah.
Kiki Poddies in there. So why is I saw a lot of Malera Pod last season. So what makes the deck more effective by adding Kiki Jiki to it?
It can win through things like copying Zealous Conscripts, untap the Kiki Jiki, and it can also Kiki Jiki with Restoration Angel, reset Kiki Jiki, Restoration, and you just win. It's much more reliable against hatred cards like there's a card that neuters creature tokens, anything like that, anything like Curse of Death's Hold, for example. Leading it off, we've got Grove of the Burn Willows into Bop. So it puts Lewis up to 21.
21. I think it's only one life gain.
It is. It goes up to 21.
So at the moment,
I guess it used it for green. That is it's Inkmoth Nexus,
Inkmoth.
Memnite, Vault Scourge. No, we haven't got this.
So whilst we were saying he was control, he ran affinity.
He is actually Affinity.
He's got the lovely.
We have two incredibly fast decks.
Lovely full art Memnite.
What is your call there? Who do you think has the edge? Do you think
playing? I think
do you
it all
being
comes
on the
down to
plane?
whether Lewis can keep the speed up and how fast he can drop a cranial plating.
If you think if Mark went Birthing Pod this turn, is that it? It's just like it's done. He has gone for Kitchen Finks.
If Lewis hasn't got a cranial plating, then very much so. I think he needs to drop some serious aggro thing going on there.
There's a Darksteel Citadel, and Vault Scourge comes in for 1, putting life total of 21 to 20. Just for those of people that are interested, they have complete control over their life totals on the table.
Yeah.
That is a cranial plating.
See, I told you, that's the scary thing about Affinity, just how fast you can get so many artifacts down and how scarily big cranial plating gets.
I do apologise for the echo. It might be due to the fact that where we are. We are kind of sat in an understairs bit, but it's about as far away as we can get to be in range. And we really want them to not be able to hear us if possible, especially if we're going over deck lists, as you can understand.
Without activating the Inkmoth, that's +4 for the cranial plating.
That is, I mean...
On what's likely to be a Vault Scourge.
Cracked Misty Rainforest.
He's got this pretty good mana sort of set up at the moment, obviously with the...
I would like to see something like... I mean, he could...
We'd like to see the pod at this point,
if
wouldn't
he got... Red
there.
Oh, that is... In fact, there is the
both
pod,
have hit
ladies and gentlemen.
their big hitters at this stage.
I'm going to go on a limb and say you might get Master Biomancer with this because I've seen this recently.
So he's obviously
He's going to get a 4-drop, and a
Yeah.
Master Biomancer is better than Malira.
Yeah.
Not so much against poison, but it works extremely well, and we could be seeing it could go off next turn.
Oh, it really could.
Oh, no, that is a murderous red cap. I was just wondering whether that was
Red
going
cap, do a bit of toolboxing, remove
I
the
like that a
immediate
lot because
threat.
that gives him another persist creature. Next turn he could be
Yeah.
looking at grab a conscripts, untap the pod, grab something,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
then
It's pretty much, he's got a lot
I
of
mean, if he
scope at
had
the
another
moment for different things,
4-drop, he
hasn't he,
could
really?
then, with the untap, he could then grab, say, Kiki-Jiki.
Yeah.
We could be.
We've got some.
Red
He's
cap
got
is
a lot of options at this point.
is
A lot of options.
definitely the safer play. I really
So,
underestimate. I
we've-
thought he was just going to go straight for it, but he's played safe. Very well
Yeah,
done.
he's still got a
Especially
lot of
since the
options.
red cap and the Finks can play blocker the Mem Knight. So he now has to. Is he going to change tack? Maybe go with the Nexus instead. Look for a poison kill. It
Yeah,
does
he's
leave
got-
him a
drops
bit
another
cold.
Mem Knight.
It does leave him a bit cold if he then has Malira as well. I mean, we don't know if he is playing Malira or not as
If
of
he
yet.
is, it's probably something he's going to end up getting to the
I
cranial
would,
playing
I
on
would
the
immediately
Nexus.
go and search that out. That is
So that is 6 infect.
That is,
That's a 1-turn
no,
clock, that is.
No, 1, 2, 3. That is 5 infect.
Yeah, but it's a 1-1 itself.
Oh, yes. Yes,
So 6.
I do apologise.
6 damage.
6 infect.
6 infect. So that's a 1-turn clock
That
now.
is...
Mark has to pretty much have an
that
answer
is
this
pretty
turn.
absurd.
So he's got to search for a Malira if he's got one.
Yep.
There's no really other option for it at this stage, is
Just
there?
to keep you in mind, we don't have an infect counter on the screen. We weren't really planning on seeing that necessarily.
goes.
That is 1
he's
damage
red capping
to the
down.
Mem Knight when it comes back. That is
It's still not enough to avoid the cranial plating, though. So he needs
still.
to put something down.
He has
on
gone for the
conscripts.
conscripts. I told you, didn't I? And I
What's he-
believe he's going for Kiki-Jiki. That is it. That is the win. It is done.
Very
That
good.
is infinite. Essentially, millions of damage right there. A turn away from dying.
A turn
to
away
the
from both of them,
combo,
wasn't it? That was it.
and he's just blown him out. That is 1-0 to Kiki Pod.
There wasn't a
And
great deal Lewis could do about that, to be
I
fair.
really feel bad. And if for example Lewis had been on the play, maybe he would have got that.
Yeah,
It's
That's the thing
possible
with it.
that it could be down to that difference.
that's how fast both of these decks are. That having the first turn is
that's-
such an advantage.
That is shockingly fast.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see it. I
came out
totally
of nowhere,
did
didn't
not
it?
see him being able to get that. I thought it would. Since he went for the red cap, it would be much slower. But it's the persist that does it. It's extremely powerful.
Well, you keep having fodder for the pod. That's the
Oh,
thing, isn't it?
absolutely,
You
yeah.
keep having that
And my
reusable material for a pod.
personal favourite card for the moment, Zealous Conscripts.
Ah,
That is
it's good in every format.
Yeah,
it's played
I
in.
love that. I would try and play that in standard as often as I can because it.
Well, it's such a diverse thing,
I
isn't
mean,
it?
honestly, I have taken
a.
a Tameo on maximum counters.
I remember that. That was
I
brilliant.
have taken a Jace and used it when
Yep.
they were like desperately. I've taken a Liliana on maximum counters. A Calm to exile itself. The list goes on and on of stuff I have absurd
exiling
things I've
itself.
done with that card. No, in no way, shape or form should that say permanent on
No.
it. And ironically, that is what makes this deck tick. Is the fact that if it said
permanent.
target creature, it would be good. It would enable one part of it, but would not allow you to untap the pod to go for the win.
No.
But yes, so there we have it, folks. 1-0 up already, and I mean, honestly, we're minutes into the round,
Minutes into that round. That's
and these are both very fast decks. But it does give Lewis time to
think about
sharpen
how
up his
he
deck,
sort of-
maybe.
What do you think he can have in sideboard to take on pod?
I would say, I mean, something like maybe Shrapnel Blast. I mean, I know there's a couple of affinity-related burn
He
spells.
could in theory be running things like surgicals.
I'll be tracking poison next to the deck names. We haven't got them this round because they're still in the middle of doing deck checks.
Okay.
Like the start of the round deck checks. But we should get them.
We just had it confirmed from the judge that But the reason
From
we
round three
the
onwards.
reason we don't have deck lists at the moment is it's still undergoing deck checks.
So we should have them for round
yeah,
3.
from round 3 onwards, we should have deck lists available.
So as I was saying, potentially you could have surgicals in his
Yeah, that
in
would
his
be
sideboard,
quite
taking out
good.
some of the fodder for his
Yeah,
stuff.
it's the problem I have with Affinity, and I always have had, is what do you take out that
It's very one-dimensional, isn't it?
doesn't weaken
That's the
it?
problem with it.
I mean, he could
Almost more so than a combo
he
deck.
could bring in something backbreaking like a null or negate or something. Where
Graph Digger's Cage.
yeah, something where Graph Digger's Cage doesn't slow the affinity deck down and counts for your affinity count and counts for cranial. I could see that. I could see Tommen's Crypt.
Yep.
Because then you're forcing like
Them to play around it.
the pod player has to go off to try and force you into activating it.
Yeah.
Obviously, Graph Digger's Cage I think is a bit better.
A bit better in this option.
I could see Leyline mulliganing to Leyline the Void.
Yep.
But then he runs the risk that the pod deck could just run him over. Just build up. I mean, it can easily build up Finks, Red Cap, grab your creature with Zealous Conscripts, get stuck in there. I have honestly seen a pod deck kill their opponent with poison by recycling 2 Zealous Conscripts a turn. They've got a loop going, grab your Nexus, grab your Cranial Plating, hit
Yeah,
you.
of course. As we've just had by Angry Joe, Disenchanting Grudge for pod.
That is very good.
Getting rid of the cranial
I
plate.
like Ancient Grudge a lot.
Without the cranial plate,
That is-
Affinity slows down to a screeching halt, really.
I mean, even blowing up the Nexus.
Yeah, blowing up Nexus.
I mean, I was mentioning Leyline the Void because it stops persist, like coming out of the affinity. There's no way to tell whether, like, I don't think Affinity would run that. I think if it got stuck in your hand, it would be as close to a mulligan as you could get.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a dead card, isn't
but they could possibly do it just to stop them winning so quickly. But again, as I said, the danger
certainly delays it, doesn't it?
they then compensate by going a different direction. I mean, very
True,
true.
you do get to tutor, but you don't get to tutor twice for the same creature.
Yeah, I mean, that is the danger always with Affinity, is just try not to dilute.
Don't dilute it.
I think being on the play, assuming he doesn't have to mulligan down, he should be. I mean, a reasonable hand should put some pressure on. I
Yeah.
mean, remember,
if he got
you
the
have to pay
same
life
opening
for the
hand that he
pod
got
most
then.
of the time. Like, they will pay life, and a lot of their lands will hurt them on occasion as well.
Yeah, like, I mean, if he had a similar opening hand like he did last time,
Here we go. That's the Citadel, Ornithopter.
so double Ornithopter. So if he has a decent opening hand, he can get going early. He can.
And that is indeed a stomping ground, untapped, into a
Another
Birds
box.
of Paradise.
So a fairly sort of standardised start for Mark again, with the stomping grounds as opposed to the Grove this time.
And for ease, we have actually put a poison counter up for this round. And that is an Brown Ravager.
There we go.
This-
That's what he wanted to see.
This is going to be pretty fast.
This could be over very quickly here.
I would actually like to see him junk all of his stuff and put it on the Blinkmoth Nexus and just try and avoid something
box,
like
so
Red
we've got a
Crest.
second box.
That is a particularly slow start. But I mean, the pod deck is now at that point where it could just explode. I mean, we saw it, that massive Ethereum. Oh, this is steadily getting out of control.
So
That is at
that's
least 4
going
damage.
through.
That is 4 damage, and that importantly allows the Ornithopters to get through the box.
So that's down to 14. Well, he's got 4 mana now, so he's got a decent
It's
mana
up to
base.
5 mana, and we have a Governing Township. And it's Chord of Calling. 2 to your deck for something that costs X. Now he's cast it for 5, so you'll be getting anything that costs 2 or less. That's Kataki War's Wage. Oh my lord, that is
Wow.
a blowout.
Wow.
And you just see from his reaction straight away, he's just flipping his card about. He's just like, what do I do against that?
That's
I mean, he has to now pay. I mean, It doesn't necessarily match up well against Ravager, very true. However,
But he has to take the mana
it's,
cost to keep it on the field, isn't it?
he has to pay for that, but he could just, junk all of his stuff onto, say, an Ornithopter, or indeed the Master of Ethereum would probably be better,
Yeah.
and just ride it to victory. I mean, he has an island and the Blinkmoth Nexus. That's the really important thing. So
Yeah.
he's kept his Axial Citadel and
Ravager.
the Ravager
And obviously
and an Ornithopter. He is in fact eating his artifacts. And he's kept the Master, an Ornithopter, and the Ravager now on 3 counters.
so it has slowed him
He
down
has,
somewhat.
he has indeed left himself open to a huge, enormous swing here.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem
We've
with
probably
Kataki is it's a hindrance and it doesn't help with cranial plating, but it doesn't mean he wins. It's a signal pest coming down. It's a boatload of damage.
So that's going to be...
We're just doing a quick calculation, see if we can work this out.
so the Ethereum's a 4.
Yep. Ravager
The
is
Ravager's
a 4.
5. Oh,
It's
it's
a
5.
4.
It's 4. So
4.
he gets the +1 from that. So that's
Yeah.
8, 9. 9
That
damage
is
coming
I
through.
believe 9 damage.
So it should take him to about 5. And from the looks of his hand, he's got 3 land in hand. He's got a township and 2 basics, I think, or a stomping
Yes,
ground.
indeed.
Oh no, it's not a stomping ground.
Yes,
Really?
no, it's a stomping ground. It is the
Township.
red-green filter land whose name
And there's
escapes
red-green
me,
filter land.
and
has gotta be
that is a
something
Gavany township as
Really
well.
good here.
Got to think this is very close to him. Just a violet thicket. Thank you very much.
Has he drawn anything to answer the affinity onslaught of this game?
You got to think you would feel Lewis, I think, would actually just storm out the building if he got comboed out or something. Just if he just somehow just went, no,
Well,
there you go.
I don't think he's got a pod. So he's not got a pod, so he's not going to be comboing off this turn.
No. And there's the face of concentration there. That is absolutely 100% focused on his task.
He's got a potential out, because if he hadn't, he probably would have scooped by this point. So
Yeah,
he has a potential way of getting out of this.
I like his style. That he's not just going. He's just not just going to. He's often thinking, like, I'm going to make you work for this. I'm
Yeah.
going to make you. And maybe he's just trying to see how Affinity wins in this style of deck.
So we've had a drop of... I can't see what that is.
That is Wall of Roots.
Oh, of course it is, yeah.
Wall of Roots. An absolutely superb creature.
Well, it's a nice blocker if nothing else.
Yeah, and I believe we're seeing Ornithopter being sacrificed to the Ravager. I mean, the Wall of Roots is not really going to help here. That's a very good mana base to have, and there's another Ornithopter, and the Master can come in for 4. Oh no, 5 with the Signal Pest, and as another 5 for the Ravager. I mean, we're looking at some bops getting in the way.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to have to get in the way.
He's got to block some things here, hasn't he?
I mean, honestly, I can see just, Bop just getting in the way and letting him get in for 1, maybe. Because Signal Pest is pretty difficult for him to deal with.
Having a good think about what he's going to block with.
Well, whatever the Ravager is, it's enormous.
7-6?
No, I believe it's a 6-5.
6-5, because Inkmoth hasn't been activated. Blinkmoth hasn't been activated.
Yeah.
And it needs to be activated to become an
Yes.
enchantment.
Yeah. For sake of clarity, the Blinkmoth paid for creatures to survive, so it hasn't been animated.
It's big enough.
I don't think it's going to make a large amount of difference. I mean, if Mark doesn't find a way out on his turn, we could see the Blinkmoth come in for the whole lot.
Yeah.
I mean, he could just give up on his creatures.
We could just sack them all onto the Ravager and just hit home. The Ravager is 4-4.
No, it'll be a 6-5 on the attack, but regardless, the Wall of Roots is going to be a speed bump if he does use it. I mean, that is the...
He has to realistically in here, doesn't he?
I mean, even like the Master... Yeah, I mean, he does in fact go...
He's jump blocking with the bop.
He is in fact chump blocking. Oh, this is going to be a Chord of Calling in response, I believe, because he's convoking. He's blocking and then convoking with them. Now, with Convoke, you can tap a creature of any colour, and if it's green, it reduces the green cost of Close Imperio, Chord of Calling, rather. But if it's any other, it just reduces the colourless. So this could be quite significantly... I believe it's going to be a chord for 3 or less. Oh my word, I've just seen Harmonic Sliver. Harmonic Sliver, instant speed disenchant. I'm speechless. Could you imagine if he got Kiki Jiki out now? Like, what does the Affinity deck do when you have disenchant on a stick? Just for clarification, I'm not saying it's a flash creature with the distant. It essentially has the same wording. Each sliver gains the disenchant text when it enters the battlefield.
Disenchant and instant speed. He's right there. Disenchant is instant speed anyway.
Yes. Yes.
So.
This is pretty sick. Like,
if he can go off at this point,
I mean, blowing up the Master has changed.
He's got the mana to play it as well,
and he's even got the dispensable creatures.
Yeah, this is at this point where Lewis is sitting untouched on 20 life, and he's still got a big risk of potentially losing.
Yep. And. This is why you don't scoop, yes.
Indeed, this is why you don't scoop. He had the ads, he knew he had the ads.
We knew from his demeanour, the way he was working out, we knew he had something, he had to, because otherwise...
He would have scooped.
He would have scooped to give him as much time as possible, maybe to go back to his sideboard, but I honestly can't see a reason why he'd need it. I mean, he's got him constantly tapping out to keep his...
Well, he has to keep the Ravager alive at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, he is going to be able to get in for a profitable enough attack, but the only problem is what happens now if he just goes. What if you have another Chord of Calling when for Kiki Jiki, and then, I mean, he doesn't even need it.
No, at this stage he's got the mana.
But you've got to think why, if he had something in hand, why wouldn't he play it on his turn?
Yeah.
I mean, he's obviously.
So the Wall of Roots is
I swear this could actually be a call.
This is going to be a call calling, isn't it?
I think I've just called... Yeah, it is indeed. It is indeed. That is another Chord of Calling. That's a triple Chord of Calling hand. That is key. I called it.
Disenchant on a stick.
With Harmonic Sliver. Oh my lord. We may actually have to get clarification on that.
Well, it's not down to us, is it?
That is, we will have to get that highlighted. I mean, technically, they might just be shortcutting it because he was searching his deck and he's forgotten. But we will definitely highlight that because he has actually tapped a sack land for mana instead of. And it can't normally produce mana. Could you just mention it to our guy at the table? No, he doesn't actually get 2 triggers because each sliver only triggers the ability when it enters the battlefield. Yeah. So the copy enters, but the one already on the board doesn't trigger again.
Yes. Very true.
But it doesn't really matter.
No.
because you have to imagine, since he now, whatever the counters flip to, and now that he doesn't have the Ravager on the board, he can't do it whenever he chooses. So right now, his counters, the counters can transfer.
Yeah.
However, like, he has enough blockers now, surely. I mean, he's even getting in for points of damage. When we thought he was on death's door,
We finally
he
see
has-
some hitting home for the pod deck.
We'll have to check the wording on that.
That's true.
I am actually just going to check the wording on Harmonic Sliver.
So Lewis taps down again to make sure the signal pest stays on the field.
Harmonic Sliver. All slivers have, when this creature comes into play, destroy target enchantment. Yeah, so it just counts the copy, not the already the one on the field.
Yes.
That's the important thing to remember.
So
But it really, do we see this one?
the Ornithopter goes bang.
That we'll try and get.
He's just blown up the next one. Lewis now has an empty field.
This is.
This is going to get out of hand pretty quickly. And he's swinging away. I think this is pretty much game, set and match.
It is
This
pretty much.
There's not a whole lot that I think Lewis can do about it at this point. At least he doesn't have to pay his mana to keep creatures in play.
My interpretation of it would be that is an interesting point, actually.
is.
Like whether
Can
they
you have it
layer
happen
more than
multiple
once.
times?
We will actually get a clarification on that.
After
For the sake of argument, this round is pretty much done. I cannot see a way in which Mark is going to possibly.
He's on 2 land at this stage. And nothing to play. Blink Moth. Oh! Deceiver Exile!
Oh dear, he taps the Blink Moth. And he
And that's a
scoops,
scoop for
and you
Lewis.
have to feel sorry
So,
for him.
2-0 to
You
Mark. The
have to
Kiki
feel
pod.
sorry for Lewis
Starting a lot of the
Marchbank.
Splinter Twin stuff there for the
Yeah,
side.
it was indeed. We'll try and get. We have to get clarification
We'll look into
on
the
that because
wording
we
for...
obviously don't want Mark to get. Like he may not necessarily not have seen the fact that it was a Sackland he was tapping,
Yeah.
but he should be. I mean, he looks an experienced enough player. I believe I've seen him like playing before, so I'm pretty sure he's experienced enough player for that. Yeah, I mean, you've got to think that is the sickest keep on the draw I have ever seen.
That was...
I mean, you've got to wonder how many of those chords did he start with?
Yeah. Or did he draw into them? Did he top deck it at the end?
My kingdom for a hand viewer.